Princess Lyra stood at the edge of the observation deck, her long silver hair catching the soft glow of the twin suns. The view of the planet below was breathtaking. Lush forests, sparkling rivers, and mountains that seemed to pierce the clouds. But what really caught her attention was not the beauty of the planet. It was the small figure moving across the surface. A human, wearing a bright white suit that glimmered in the sunlight. Lyra's violet eyes widened with curiosity. Humans were rare in her part of the galaxy. Her mother, Queen Solara, had always warned her about them. Humans are unpredictable, she had said many times. They are clever, yes, but their emotions can lead them into danger. You must not become attached to one without thought. But there was something about this human that made Lyra's heart race. He moved with careful purpose, examining the plants and rocks with a mix of awe and attention. He didn't seem afraid of the strange environment. Instead, he appeared to understand it, to respect it. Lyra leaned closer to the glass, her fingers brushing the cold surface. "I want to meet him," she whispered to herself. That evening, she could not stop thinking about the human. She wandered the palace gardens, surrounded by glowing flowers and singing birds. The air smelled sweet, filled with scents from planets far and wide. Even here, in her mother's palace, Lyra felt restless. "Lyra," said a soft voice. It was Mira, her personal aide, who had been with her since she was a child. "You seem distracted. Is something troubling you?" Lyra shook her head, forcing a smile. "No, Mira, I am thinking about someone I saw today." "Someone?" Mira asked, raising an eyebrow. "A human," Lyra said, her voice almost a whisper. "I want to meet him." Mira frowned slightly. "A human, princess? That is unusual. Your mother does not approve of attachments like this." Lyra nodded. "I know, but there is something about him. I cannot explain it." The next morning, Lyra made a decision. She would observe the human up close without revealing herself. Using a small scout ship, she descended to the planet. Her ship was small and fast, almost invisible among the tall trees. She watched as the human carefully examined the local plants, jotting down notes in a small notebook. He looked human, yes, but there was something more. He smiled at the flowers as if he understood their beauty. He helped a small creature tangled in vines, carefully freeing it. Lyra's heart lifted. She had never seen a human act with such gentle strength. "Who is he?" she whispered. The human, unaware of her presence, continued his work. Lyra noticed his hands, strong, steady, and precise. She noticed the way his eyes moved, taking in everything without rushing. There was intelligence in his every action, but also kindness. Lyra felt a connection, something she could not name. By nightfall, Lyra returned to the palace, her mind buzzing. She knew she had to tell her mother. Queen Solara sat in the grand hall, surrounded by advisors and glowing screens displaying information from across the empire. Her presence was calm, but commanding. "Mother," Lyra said, stepping forward. "I have seen a human. I want to meet him." Queen Solara's eyes widened. She studied Lyra carefully. "A human? Lyra, you know the rules. Humans are unpredictable. You cannot simply choose one." Lyra stepped closer, her voice steady. "I am not asking permission yet. I am asking for understanding. There is something special about him. I have watched him, Mother. He is different." The queen leaned back, her hands folded. "Different? How?" "He is kind," Lyra said. "He is curious. He respects life. He solves problems in ways I have never seen before. I want to learn from him. I want him near me." A long silence followed. The queen's gaze softened slightly. She could see the sincerity in Lyra's eyes, but caution still lingered. Lyra, being drawn to someone is not enough. You must understand the responsibility. Humans are fragile compared to us. One mistake, One wrong choice and she left the sentence unfinished. I understand, Lyra said, but I feel that meeting him will teach me more than any lesson in this palace. Queen Solara sighed, her expression unreadable. Very well. You may observe him from afar, but I will not allow you to act without guidance. He must prove himself and without knowing you are watching. Lyra nodded eagerly. Thank you, Mother. Over the next few days, Lyra followed the human carefully. She learned his name. Ethan, he was a scientist from Earth, studying the plants and ecosystems of her mother's empire. Lyra watched as he worked with precision, yet always with care. One afternoon, she saw him help a small creature that had fallen from a tree. He lifted it gently, whispering to it in a soft voice. The creature chirped and curled into his hands. Lyra felt her heart swell. She had never seen such compassion. That night, she could not sleep. She wandered the palace halls, thinking of Ethan. She thought of how he laughed when a bird landed on his shoulder. She thought of how he wrote in his notebook, his brow furrowed in concentration, yet with a smile on his lips. I want this human, she whispered into the darkness. Mira, who had quietly followed her, spoke softly. Princess, you speak as if you already know him, are you certain? Lyra nodded. I am certain. There is something about him that calls to me, something I cannot ignore. Mira looked at her with concern, but she did not argue. Lyra had made up her mind. The next morning, Lyra approached the queen again. She stood tall, her eyes shining with determination. Mother, I must speak plainly. I do not wish to simply observe him. I wish to know him, to understand him. Please, Mother. I want this human. Queen Solara studied her daughter, seeing the fire in her eyes. She remembered herself at that age, curious, passionate, willing to challenge the world. She also remembered the dangers of the unknown, but something in Lyra's voice and her conviction told her that this was not a fleeting fancy. Very well, the queen said finally. You may continue your observation, but know this, Ethan will be tested. Not by me, but by the circumstances you place him in. Only if he proves himself worthy will you have the chance to meet him openly. Lyra's face lit up. Thank you, Mother. I promise I will be careful. I will watch him, learn from him, and I will be patient. Queen Solara nodded, a small smile touching her lips. Patience, Lyra, is a lesson all humans and aliens must learn. Do not forget it. That evening, Lyra returned to her observation deck, her heart pounding. She watched Ethan as he collected samples, carefully noting every detail. She felt a strange sense of joy just being near him, even if he did not know she existed. As the twin suns set, casting orange and pink hues across the planet, Lyra whispered again. I will find a way to know you, Ethan, somehow. The palace was quiet in the early morning, the light of the twin suns spilling softly across the marble floors. Princess Lyra walked briskly through the halls, her silver hair flowing behind her. Today was different. Today, she would begin her first plan to get closer to Ethan without revealing herself. She stopped at a large window overlooking the gardens. The plants glowed faintly, responding to the gentle hum of Lumerian energy. Lyra smiled. She loved this place, but it felt lonely, without someone who truly understood her. Perhaps she thought Ethan could be that person. Mira, she said, turning to her aide who had silently followed her. I need your help. We will begin the tests for Ethan. Mira raised an eyebrow. Tests? Princess, are you sure? Your mother warned you the human may not understand. Lyra nodded firmly. I know, but if he is worthy, he will pass. And if he is not, we will learn without harming him. Later that day, Lyra arranged for a series of small challenges on the planet where Ethan worked. The tasks were not dangerous but required intelligence, patience, and kindness. She wanted to see how Ethan would respond when confronted with unusual situations, something humans often struggled with in alien worlds. The first challenge appeared simple. A grove of plants blocked a small path. One of the trees had a tangled root that trapped a tiny creature. Lyra watched from her hidden vantage point as Ethan approached. He knelt gently beside the creature, examining it carefully. Then he used a small tool to untangle the root without harming the plant or the animal. The creature chirped and hopped onto his shoulder. Lyra's heart leapt. He had passed the first test with grace. The second test involved communication. Lyra had placed a holographic device near a waterfall that produced strange, musical sounds. The device required someone to understand its pattern to unlock a simple message. Humans were rarely attuned to Lumerian technology, but Lyra wanted. To see Ethan's approach, Ethan crouched studying the device. His fingers moved slowly, pressing symbols in different combinations. Lyra held her breath as he paused, listened, and tried again. Slowly, the symbols aligned, producing a harmonious tone. A small panel opened, revealing a note written in glowing Lumerian letters. "Compassion guides the worthy." Lyra clapped silently, thrilled. Ethan was not just clever, he was patient and respectful. This human, she realized, was far different from the explorers her mother had warned her about. Over the next few days, Lyra designed more tests. One involved problem-solving, a small device that required assembling simple components in the correct sequence to create energy. Ethan approached it with curiosity, examining each piece carefully. Unlike many humans who might panic or guess, he worked steadily, learning from each mistake. Finally, the device hummed to life, emitting a soft, warm glow. Another test was about empathy. Lyra had arranged for a group of alien children to appear lost near Ethan's research area. They were not real children, but advanced holograms that could interact convincingly. Ethan immediately knelt to speak with them, asking gentle questions, guiding them patiently back to their home. Lyra's heart swelled. He treated every life, real or simulated, with respect. Each night, Lyra returned to her mother to report. Queen Solara listened, her expression calm but unreadable. "So far, he is doing well," she said after one report. "But remember, Lyra, passing tests is not enough. He must prove that his heart is as strong as his mind." Lyra nodded. "I understand, Mother. I believe he can do it. He has something I cannot explain, a light within him." The Queen regarded her daughter thoughtfully. "Be cautious, Lyra. Attachment grows quickly when we see what we desire. Observe him fully before you let your heart take the lead." One evening, as the sun set, Lyra decided to place the final challenge. She created a puzzle involving the ecosystem itself, a small area where plants, rocks, and creatures needed careful observation and balance to restore harmony. Ethan approached it unaware of the complexity hidden in the environment. He watched the movement of a small water stream, noticed a plant leaning too close to the edge, and gently shifted a stone to balance the flow. A bird nested nearby, and he made sure its path remained clear. Step by step, he restored the natural harmony of the area. Lyra's breath caught. No human had ever shown such understanding of her world's delicate systems. From her hidden vantage, she whispered, "Yes, Ethan, you are worthy." Lyra began to spend more time observing him, not just during the tests, but also in everyday life. She saw how he laughed when a small creature tickled his hand. She noticed how he paused to watch the clouds, fascinated by patterns and colors. She even caught him reading aloud from a small notebook, explaining his findings as if the plants themselves could hear him. In all these moments, Lyra realized something important. Ethan was not just clever or kind. He was curious in a way that mirrored her own heart. He wanted to learn, to understand, to make the world better. That, she decided, was the most rare and precious quality of all. But it was not only Lyra who was learning. Ethan felt something too, though he did not know who was watching. He often spoke aloud to himself, wondering why he felt a strange connection to this planet. "It's beautiful," he said one morning, running his hands along the soft leaves. "It almost feels alive, like it's aware of me." He smiled, thinking of the humans back on his ship. They would never understand. Here, among alien forests and glowing creatures, he felt at home in a way he had never known. Little did he realize that someone was observing him, learning about him with equal fascination. One afternoon, Lyra watched him rest near a sparkling pond. Ethan had taken out a small device and was sketching the plants he had studied. She leaned forward, her curiosity stronger than ever. She wanted to speak, to tell him how remarkable she thought he was, but she knew the Queen would not allow it. Instead, she whispered to herself, "I will find a way to know you, Ethan, I promise." As the days passed, Lyra devised one more subtle test, not of intelligence, not of empathy, but of creativity. She scattered unusual flowers across a hill, flowers that changed color when touched. Ethan approached them with his usual careful curiosity. Instead of ignoring the odd behavior, he began experimenting, arranging the flowers in patterns, noticing the way their colors shifted and combined. Lyra gasped silently. He had not only understood the flowers, but had created something beautiful from them. His imagination, combined with his kindness and intelligence, was something she had never seen before. She knew in her heart that this human was truly extraordinary. That night, Lyra returned to the palace more certain than ever. She walked through the quiet halls, her silver hair brushing the floors, thinking about Ethan and the life that might exist beyond observation. Mira followed, as always, sensing her thoughts. "You are happy, Princess," Mira said softly. Lyra smiled. "I am, Mira. But I am also impatient. I want to know him. I want to meet him, to understand him fully. And I will. I just must wait." Mira placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Patience is the hardest test of all." Lyra laughed softly. "Then it is the one I must master the most." Queen Solara called for her later that night. The royal chamber glowed softly, the twin moons visible through the high windows. Lyra entered, bowing slightly, but her heart raced with excitement. "You have observed him well," the Queen said. "I can see it in your eyes. But tell me, Lyra, what do you feel?" Lyra hesitated, then spoke with honesty. "I feel connection. I feel curiosity, admiration, and something deeper. I want to know him as more than a visitor to this world. I want to understand him, learn from him, and be near him." Queen Solara regarded her daughter silently. Finally she spoke, her voice calm but firm. "Then you shall have your chance. But remember, Lyra, the next step must be earned by both of you. He must see the value of your world, as you see the value of his. Only then can connection be true." Lyra bowed deeply, her heart racing. "I understand, Mother, and I will wait. I will watch, learn, and guide, but I will not give up." Queen Solara smiled faintly. "Very well, Princess. Tomorrow, a new test will begin. Not from me, but from life itself." Lyra returned to the observation deck, looking down at Ethan's tiny figure below. She could see him working, smiling, learning, living. She whispered softly, "I will find a way, Ethan. I will be patient, but I will find a way." And as the twin moons rose over the horizon, Lyra felt hope stir within her heart. A bond was forming, not yet complete, not yet spoken, but undeniable. And for the first time in her life, she truly understood the excitement of discovering someone new, someone remarkable, someone human. The morning sunlight spilled across the palace gardens, turning every leaf and petal into sparkling jewels. Princess Lyra walked among them, her mind buzzing with excitement and nervousness. Today was different. Today Ethan would step into her world. The Queen had finally agreed to invite him, under careful observation and rules designed to ensure no harm came to either party. Lyra's heart raced. She had watched Ethan for days, studied his character, his kindness, his curiosity. Now he would see the beauty and complexity of her people's world firsthand. When Ethan's small craft touched down in the palace courtyard, he was immediately struck by the splendor around him. Towering crystal towers reflected the morning light, while gardens glowed with soft, magical luminescence. Strange birds with shining feathers sang from the treetops, and the air smelled sweet, rich with alien flowers. He stepped out, shielding his eyes from the brightness. A young figure approached, a girl with silver hair that shimmered in the light and eyes the color of amethyst. He did not know it yet, but this was Lyra, watching him with a mix of curiosity and delight. "Welcome, Ethan," said a calm voice. It was Queen Solara. She stood behind Lyra, regal and poised. "You are our guest. Please explore, learn, observe. But remember, you are still on our world. Respect it as we respect yours." Ethan bowed slightly, feeling both nervous and honored. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best." Lyra guided him first through the gardens. She pointed out plants that glowed with soft energy and creatures that moved with gentle grace. "These are our native life forms," she explained. "They respond to our energy, our care, and our understanding. Treat them gently." Ethan knelt by a flower that shimmered gold and purple. He ran his fingers lightly over its petals, smiling. "It's amazing. It feels alive, like it understands me." Lyra's heart fluttered. "Yes, they do, in a way. They respond to respect and curiosity." He looked up at her, his eyes bright. "You're amazing. I've never seen anything like this." Lyra blushed slightly, hiding her excitement. She led him to a small pool where glowing fish swam in patterns like ribbons of light. "They follow the flow of energy," she said. "Watch and learn. Then you may try to interact." Ethan placed his hand gently in the water. The fish swirled around him, almost as if dancing to an invisible rhythm. He laughed softly. "I've never been anywhere like this. It's incredible." Over the next few days, Ethan immersed himself in Lemurian culture. He learned their language, practiced their art, and even tried simple energy manipulation exercises. Lyra watched him closely. She could see his determination, his fascination, his joy in learning. One afternoon, Lyra led him to the palace library, a vast hall of floating books and holographic displays. "This is our knowledge," she said. "Everything our people have learned over centuries. You may study what you wish." Ethan's eyes widened. "This is incredible. So much information. I've never seen anything like it." He began exploring, reading about plants, energy systems, and Lemurian history. Lyra smiled as she watched him. She had expected curiosity, but not this deep, respectful engagement. It thrilled her to see a human so eager to learn and understand. But cultural exchange was not just about knowledge, it was also about creativity and collaboration. Lyra took Ethan to a courtyard filled with blank canvases that floated mid-air. "Here, we create art using energy," she explained. "Your thoughts and feelings guide the patterns." Ethan hesitated at first, unsure how to proceed. Lyra placed her hand gently over his, guiding him. Slowly, ribbons of light emerged, swirling into shapes that mirrored their emotions. Lyra's ribbons glowed with calm violet, while Ethan's shone bright and warm, shifting with curiosity and excitement. Together, they created a tapestry of light, a combination of human imagination and Lemurian energy control. Lyra's heart soared. Here was proof that two beings from different worlds could create something beautiful together. In the evenings, they would walk along the palace terraces under the twin moons. Lyra showed Ethan constellations unique to her world and told stories of ancient explorers, scientists, and artists who shaped Lemurian civilization. Ethan listened with rapt attention, asking questions, sharing human stories in return. "I never imagined I'd meet anyone like you," Ethan said one night, his voice quiet. "Your world. It's beautiful, but even more than that, you care so much about it, about everything in it." Lyra felt a warm glow inside her. "And you care too in ways that are rare. You notice, you think, you respect. That is why I wanted you here. That is why she hesitated, realizing how much she was revealing. "Wanted to know you." Ethan looked at her, a smile spreading across his face. I want to know you too, Lyra. I don't understand everything here, but I feel like I belong, at least a little, when I'm with you. As the days turned into a week, Lyra introduced Ethan to more of her people. The palace staff were cautious at first, unsure how to interact with a human, but Ethan's kindness, patience, and genuine curiosity won them over quickly. He listened, he laughed, he learned, and slowly, the palace began to accept him. Even the queen, who had been cautious, could see Ethan's sincerity. He did not try to change her world. He respected it, embraced it, and even added value through his fresh perspective. For the first time, Solara felt a glimmer of hope that humans might not be as unpredictable as she had feared. One afternoon, a minor challenge arose. A small energy disturbance in the palace gardens threatened to disrupt the delicate balance of the plants. Lyra watched as Ethan approached the problem. Instead of panicking, he observed carefully, touching the plants, lightly, adjusting their energy with subtle movements learned from her teachings. Slowly, the disturbance resolved itself. Lyra clapped silently, thrilled. Ethan had not only learned her ways, but had also applied his own human ingenuity to solve the problem. It was a perfect example of what she had hoped for, a blending of human creativity and Lumerian understanding. The more time they spent together, the more Lyra realized how much they complemented each other. She brought knowledge of her world, its history and culture, while he brought fresh ideas, human curiosity, and a unique perspective on life. Their conversations ranged from science to philosophy, art to ethics, and always ended with laughter and learning. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise over the palace gardens, Ethan turned to Lyra. I never expected to find a place like this, or anyone like you. You've shown me more than I ever imagined I could see. Lyra smiled, feeling a flutter in her chest. And you've shown me that humans are capable of more than anyone imagined. That kindness, curiosity, and creativity can bridge worlds. They stood quietly for a moment, watching the moons reflect on the water below. There was no need for words. The bond between them had grown strong, built on respect, curiosity, and shared wonder. But not everyone in the palace approved. Some advisors whispered doubts. Humans, they said, were fragile. They could not survive in Lumerian society without trouble. They would not understand the complexities of their world. Lyra ignored them. She knew Ethan's worth not by cautionary tales, but by what she had seen. His actions, his choices, his heart. She was determined to prove that humans could bring value, insight, and harmony, even in a world so different from their own. The queen observed silently from her chambers. She saw the connection between Lyra and Ethan growing stronger with each passing day. She saw his intelligence, his care, his willingness to learn, and she began to understand why her daughter had been drawn to him. Perhaps, she thought, this human is different. Perhaps he truly is worthy. As the week came to an end, Lyra prepared a small celebration, a festival of lights in the palace courtyard. Ethan was invited to participate fully, not as a guest, but as a learner and contributor. He helped arrange. Glowing lanterns sang with alien instruments and shared stories of human celebrations. By the end of the night, the palace staff and the guests were laughing, singing, and learning together. Ethan had not only met the challenge of cultural exchange, he had exceeded it, creating joy and unity among beings from two very different worlds. Lyra stood at the edge of the celebration, watching him. Her heart was full. She knew this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more tests, and perhaps more doubts. But she also knew one thing for certain. Ethan had touched her heart, and in doing so, he had begun to bridge the gap between their worlds. That night, as the twin moons shone over the palace, Lyra whispered softly, "You are more remarkable than I imagined, Ethan, and I want to know you even more." Somewhere far away, Ethan looked up at the moons and felt a strange warmth, a connection he could not explain. Little did he know, someone was watching him with eyes full of admiration, curiosity, and hope. The palace was alive with energy that morning. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony overlooking the courtyard, her silver hair shimmering in the early light. Today was not about lessons or cultural exchange. Today, Ethan would face a challenge, unlike any he had encountered before. A message had arrived from a neighboring star system. There was a dispute between two alien civilizations over resource sharing and trade routes. The matter was delicate. Misunderstanding could lead to tension or long-lasting resentment. The Queen had decided that the situation required a creative solution, one that might combine human ingenuity with Lemurian wisdom. Lyra's heart raced. She had watched Ethan solve puzzles and help her world in small ways. But this was different. This was real. Could a human help mediate a problem on a galactic scale? Ethan arrived at the palace council room slightly nervous but ready. The walls were high, lined with glowing panels displaying star maps, holographic models of planets, and statistics about trade and resources. Aliens from different species filled the room, their eyes curious, wary, and cautious. Princess Lyra greeted him warmly. "Ethan, thank you for coming. This is important. We need your insight, your perspective, and your ideas. Watch carefully, learn from our ways, and speak when you have something to offer." Ethan nodded. "I understand, Princess. I'll do my best." The council began. Representatives of the two alien civilizations spoke, their voices polite but tense. They each wanted the resources, the trade routes, and the control of several planets. Lemurian mediators tried to find common ground, but traditional methods were slow and rigid. Ethan listened. He noticed patterns that others missed, the way each species approached negotiation, the small compromises they had already made, and the things they valued most. He did not speak immediately. Instead, he took notes, asking subtle questions, observing interactions and identifying possibilities. Lyra watched him closely, impressed by his patience and understanding. He had never dealt with aliens on this scale before, yet he approached the situation calmly, carefully, and with genuine respect. Finally, Ethan spoke. His voice was steady, thoughtful, and clear. "I believe the issue is not about resources alone," he said. "It is about trust and understanding. Both sides value their independence and security. If we can create a shared system where each civilization manages certain planets together rather than alone, everyone benefits. Cooperation becomes the rule, not competition." The room fell silent. Many representatives whispered among themselves. Humans were rare, and his words carried no precedent. Yet there was logic in what he said, a simplicity that cut through the complexity. Lyra's heart leapt. This was exactly what she had hoped for. Ethan was not only thinking creatively but also seeing solutions others could not. Ethan continued, suggesting a system of shared responsibilities, rotating oversight of planets, joint scientific projects, and a council where all species had equal representation. He even proposed small cultural exchanges between the civilizations to build trust. His ideas were bold, but practical. Some council members frowned, skeptical. Humans were fragile, they said. They could not understand the nuances of alien politics, but Ethan remained calm. He listened to each objection, acknowledged concerns, and adapted his suggestions without compromising fairness. Slowly, the mood shifted. Representatives began to nod, discuss, and collaborate. Solutions emerged where there had been only tension before. Ethan's ideas had sparked cooperation, and the council was moving toward agreement. Outside the council room, Lyra watched the events unfold through a hidden observation panel. Her chest swelled with pride. Ethan was proving what she had always believed. Humans could rise to challenges not through force but through intelligence, empathy, and creativity. She whispered to herself, "You are remarkable, Ethan. More than I ever imagined." After hours of discussion, the council reached a compromise. Planets would be shared under Ethan's proposed system. Trade routes would be jointly managed. Both civilizations agreed to begin cultural exchange programs to strengthen trust. The room erupted in applause and relief. Princess Lyra stepped forward, smiling brightly. Ethan, you have done something extraordinary. You have bridged worlds and created harmony where there was tension. You have proven yourself worthy. Ethan blushed, surprised and humbled. I didn't do it alone. I learned from you, Princess, from your people, from your world. Lyra laughed softly. And yet, your ideas were your own. That is what makes you remarkable, not just understanding but creating solutions that even we could not see. That evening, the palace celebrated the success. Lanterns floated in the gardens, and music filled the air. Aliens and humans shared stories, laughter, and joy. Ethan moved among them, still a little unsure of himself but proud of what had been achieved. Lyra joined him near a quiet pond, the glowing water reflecting the twin moons. You did it, she said softly. You helped more than I could have imagined. Not with weapons, not with power, but with your mind and your heart. Ethan smiled, looking at her. I was nervous at first, but seeing your world, understanding it, learning from you, it made me realize that we could do something meaningful together. Not just me, but humans and Lumerians. Lyra reached out, brushing a strand of hair from his face. And I realized something too. Humans are capable of more than anyone expected. You're capable of more than even I expected. That is why I wanted you here. That is why I wanted you. Ethan looked into her eyes, sensing the depth of her words. Lyra, I want to be here. I want to learn, to understand, and to help. And I want to be near you if you'll let me. Her heart leapt. You already are, Ethan, you already are. The next day, Lyra introduced Ethan to more members of the palace. They were cautious at first, still unsure of humans, but Ethan's calm demeanor, intelligence, and kindness won them over quickly. He listened carefully, offered solutions thoughtfully, and treated everyone with respect. Even Queen Solara, who had been cautious, observed him quietly. She saw that he was not only intelligent but also adaptable. He could navigate challenges, think creatively, and most importantly, act with integrity. For the first time, Solara felt a sense of relief. This human, unlike others, could coexist with Lumerians, not as an outsider but as a partner in understanding and progress. Lyra and Ethan continued to spend time together in private, learning from each other and sharing stories of their worlds. Ethan showed her human science and engineering concepts, explaining them simply and clearly. Lyra taught him about energy manipulation, art, and the history of her people. They created experiments combining human and Lumerian knowledge to solve small problems around the palace. Lights that had malfunctioned in the gardens were restored with a combination of energy manipulation and mechanical ingenuity. Small energy conduits were built to carry water to distant plants efficiently. Each success strengthened their bond and proved their ability to work together. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the palace, Ethan and Lyra stood on a balcony, looking out at the sparkling gardens below. You know, Ethan said thoughtfully, I never imagined a world like this. I never imagined a person like you. Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing. And I never imagined a human could understand and respect my world so completely. You've shown me something important. Humans can bring harmony, creativity, and hope, not just intelligence. Ethan laughed softly. Then maybe this is only the beginning. Humans and Lumerians, together, we could do amazing things. Lyra nodded. Yes, together. That is exactly what I want. That night, Queen Solara entered Lyra's chambers quietly. She sat beside her daughter, her expression calm. Lyra, she said softly, I have watched Ethan closely. He has passed more than just tests. He has shown intelligence, kindness, creativity, and respect. He has proven himself worthy of your trust, and mine. Lyra's eyes shone with joy. Thank you, Mother. I knew he was special, but seeing him today, It was more than I could imagine. Solara smiled faintly. Be careful, my daughter. Connection is powerful and it can grow quickly. But I see now that you have chosen wisely. This human, he is truly remarkable. Lyra hugged her mother, feeling a mix of relief and happiness. I will be careful, mother. But I will also embrace what is possible. I will not hide from it. As the palace settled for the night, Lyra looked out at the twin moons, thinking of Ethan and the future they could build together. Their bond was growing, stronger than she had imagined. They had proven that understanding, creativity, and kindness could bridge worlds, and that humans could bring something extraordinary to her people. The palace glowed under the light of the twin suns, the air filled with a gentle hum of energy, and the songs of exotic birds. Princess Lyra stood at the grand balcony, her silver hair flowing in the warm breeze. Today was a special day. It was, the day Ethan would be fully welcomed into Lumerian society, and the day their bond could be openly recognized. Lyra's heart raced with excitement. She had watched Ethan prove his worth, navigate challenges, and bring harmony to her world. She had also seen his kindness, intelligence, and creativity shine in ways she never thought possible. Today she would stand proudly by his side. Ethan approached the palace carrying a simple gift, a small device he had built to help regulate energy flow in the gardens. It was functional, yet elegant, and reflected both human ingenuity and his respect for Lumerian design. Lyra met him at the steps, her eyes bright with anticipation. Ethan, she said softly, thank you for being here. Today, you are no longer just a guest. Today you are recognized as part of our world. Ethan's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and humility. I'm honored, Princess. I never expected this. Lyra smiled warmly. You've earned it, Ethan. Not through force, not through power, but through your heart and your mind. The palace courtyard was filled with Lumerian officials, scholars, and citizens who had witnessed Ethan's journey. They had seen his courage, his problem-solving, and his kindness. Today, they would formally acknowledge him as a trusted ally and friend of their people. Queen Solara stepped forward, her expression regal yet gentle. Ethan, she said, her voice calm and commanding, you have proven yourself in many ways. You have helped mediate conflicts, assisted in our gardens, and shown understanding and respect beyond what we expected. Today, we recognize you not only as a guest, but as someone who has earned the trust and respect of our people. Ethan bowed deeply, feeling a mix of pride and humility. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am grateful for this honor. I hope to continue learning, contributing, and growing alongside your people. Lyra stepped forward, her violet eyes shining. Ethan, she said softly, I wanted to do more than observe you, more than test you. I wanted to know you. And now, I am proud to call you not only a friend, but someone I trust and admire deeply. Will you stand with me, not as a visitor, but as a part of our world? Ethan's heart leapt. Yes, Lyra. I will stand with you. I will learn, I will contribute, and I will honor the trust you and your people have shown me. Lyra reached out, taking his hand. Their fingers intertwined naturally. A simple gesture that spoke volumes about connection, trust, and mutual respect. The celebration began. Lanterns floated through the gardens, glowing softly. Lumerian musicians played melodies that resonated with the energy of the palace, while humans and Lumerians mingled, sharing stories, laughter, and ideas. Ethan moved among them confidently now, no longer just an observer but an accepted member of their society. Lyra watched him, her heart full. She saw the joy in his eyes, the curiosity that never wavered, and the kindness that had first drawn her to him. He was not only a human, he was a bridge between worlds, a living proof that understanding, creativity, and empathy could unite even the most different civilizations. Over the next days, Ethan continued his work with the Lumerians. He introduced simple human inventions adapted for their world, helping improve efficiency and sustainability. Lyra guided him, teaching him how to combine human concepts with Lumerian energy techniques. Together, they created solutions that neither could have developed alone, a fusion of knowledge, culture, and collaboration. The palace staff and citizens observed with admiration. They saw Ethan's humility and eagerness to learn, and gradually any lingering doubts faded. He had become more than a guest or a visitor. He had become a part of their society. One evening, Lyra and Ethan walked together along the palace terraces, the twin moons casting a soft silver glow over the gardens below. "I never imagined I could feel so at home in a world so different from my own," Ethan said quietly. "But being here, with you, it feels right. I've learned so much, and yet, I feel there is more to discover." Lyra smiled, squeezing his hand. "And there is, Ethan. There is always more to learn, more to explore, more to share. But what matters most is that we do it together. We are different, yes, but we complement each other. That is our strength." Ethan nodded, looking out at the glowing gardens. "You've shown me a world I could never have imagined, and you've taught me what it means to truly understand and respect life. I will never forget it. Or you." Lyra's eyes softened. "And I will never forget you, Ethan. You've shown me what humans are capable of, how they can rise to challenges, create harmony, and build bridges between worlds. That is why I wanted you here, and why I will always value you." The queen observed them from a distance, her expression unreadable at first. Then she approached, her steps quiet but deliberate. "Lyra, Ethan," she said, her voice calm but filled with authority. "I have watched your journey, your growth, and your collaboration. Ethan, you have proven yourself worthy, not through strength or dominance, but through understanding, creativity, and respect. You have shown that humans can be trusted allies, not just observers." Ethan bowed once again. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored to be accepted and will continue to prove my dedication." Solara smiled faintly. "Lyra, I see now why you were drawn to him. You have chosen wisely. Together, you represent the possibility of unity between our peoples. That is something worth celebrating." Lyra's eyes shone with joy. "Thank you, Mother. And thank you for trusting us." The festival continued late into the night. Lanterns floated above the palace, illuminating the gardens with a soft, magical glow. Humans and Lumerians danced, sang, and shared stories. Ethan taught a few human games to the Lumerian children, who laughed and learned quickly. Lyra showed him energy patterns that could form beautiful images in midair, and together they created patterns that filled the sky like glowing constellations. It was a celebration not just of Ethan's acceptance, but of the union of two worlds, of trust, learning, and mutual respect. Later, Lyra and Ethan stood quietly near a pond, watching the reflections of the twin moons ripple across the water. "You know," Ethan said thoughtfully, "I never expected to find someone like you. Lyra. Someone who believes in humans, who sees what we can become, who trusts us despite the differences. You've given me more than knowledge or experience. You've given me hope." Lyra smiled softly. "And you've given me the same, Ethan. You've shown me courage, creativity, and kindness. You've taught me that connections can form across worlds, across species, and that trust can create something extraordinary." Ethan took her hand again, his grip gentle but firm. "Then let's continue this journey together. Not just as friends, but as partners, learning, exploring, and building a future that unites our worlds." Lyra nodded, her heart full. "Yes, Ethan, together." In the days that followed, Ethan continued to contribute to Lumerian society. Together with Lyra, he initiated projects that combined human engineering with Lumerian energy techniques. Gardens flourished, energy systems improved, and cultural exchanges between species became more frequent. The palace became a hub of collaboration, a symbol of what could happen when curiosity, respect, and kindness bridged differences. The citizens of the empire began to see humans in a new light. They saw intelligence, creativity, and heart. They saw the potential for unity, learning, and progress. And at the center of it all were Lyra and Ethan, two beings from different worlds, standing side by side, shaping a new future. One evening, as the sun set and the palace gardens glowed softly in twilight, Lyra and Ethan walked together hand in hand. "I never imagined a human could mean so much to me," Lyra whispered. "You've changed everything, not just for me, but for my world. You've made it better." Ethan smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "And you've changed me, Lyra. You've shown me a world full of wonder, responsibility, and possibility. I will never forget it. Or you." They stood together, watching the glowing gardens and the rising twin moons. In that moment there was no fear, no doubt, only trust, understanding, and a bond that could span worlds.